Oh, excuse me. All right, guys. All right, we have one more multi-view cube to do today. This is the cube that we're going to be working on. This should look pretty familiar to you. Okay, so I'm not really even sure what size this thing is. So we've got our trusty ruler. We've got our engineering notebook. Well, let's get started. So first off, before we do anything, we want to title our notebook Multi-View oh, Multi-View Sneeze. No, I'm sorry, Multi-View Sketch. This is from 2.4. This is going to be cube number 3, or whatever you feel the title needs to be. Make sure it's appropriate to what you're doing and that you're putting it in your table of contents. First off, I'm going to go ahead and start somewhere in the middle today. How about right here? Okay, before I can really start to do anything with this guy here, I need to start my sketch with my construction line. So I'm going to use my ruler, line this way, and a line this way. Okay, to start this out, I want this to be a scale of 1 to 1, and if I put this on here, you can see it will fit on the page, but I want to do some measurements. So, first measurement, if I look here, this is 2.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Okay, 2.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So, what I need to do is take my ruler onto my paper here, measure over 2.5 inches, and make a mark. Now, because I need construction lines, I get a nice light construction line up this way. Now I know it's 1.5 inches tall, because this is the width and this is the height. So 1.5 inches tall puts me right there. Now I'm going to draw a line over. Construction line. Over that way. Alright. Now if we were just looking at it this way, I'm going to double check here, and I'm realizing, whoops, I made a mistake. Well, you know what? Mistakes happen. That's part of engineering. Remember, we fail often so we can succeed sooner. Let me double check my measurement here. Oh, not 1.5 inches. Let me move it so you can see it here. Not 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. Okay, so let me go up one more and draw the appropriate line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase just a little bit of this line so it doesn't confuse you guys. A little bit here. Okay, so we double check again. Aha, now we're good. Now we're good. Now before I do anything else, I want to sketch this cutout here. So let's do that. So let's measure and find out where to make our mark here. So this is, hopefully I get it right this time, right there, 3/4 inch or 3 squares. And this is also 3/4 inch, 3 squares. So that makes that actually pretty easy. So 3 squares over, 3 squares up, make my mark. Or if you want me to prove it, there's 3/4 inch. So, as with all of these, I'm going to draw a line over that way. And I'm going to draw a line up this way. That is the basic outline shape. So before I do anything, I'm going to make some object lines here. Everything we do should have quality stamped all over it, so I'm going to do my utmost best to make this as neat as I can, because you know what? All it takes is a little time and effort, and you can, using a ruler, make something look really nice. It's not that you don't ever make mistakes, you just try to make your mistakes clean and pretty after you make them. Okay. Okay, so there's my basic outline of a shape. And I would think, great, this is just like the previous one, but wait, there's more. I've got this cutout here that's missing, and I have this cutout here that's missing. So how do I show that here? And we show that through the use of hidden lines. So I need to see how far down this cutout is here. So let's get this here. And I find that this cutout is 1/4 of an inch. And it's only on this top piece. So on this top piece, I need to come down 1/4 inch. Well, actually, it's a good thing I'd drawn that line before, but instead of a solid line, I need to draw a dashed line. Dash, 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 however many dashes you need. And then I'm going to fill the rest of it with a light construction line. Same thing for the gap here. You're going to measure how far back it is from one side. It's 1.25 inches. So I come back 1.25 inches or 1.25 inches there. Let me double check that just to make sure. Measure twice. 1.25 inches. And then I'm going to come up from there. Now remember, it's hidden. Hidden lines are dashed lines. So it's going to be there, and then a nice line there. Okay, so we need to draw the top view and the side view. So to draw the top view, I'm just going to go 2 blocks up here and draw the side of the top view. There. Okay? Now, how this would fit on here would be just like this. It would fit right there. Let's bring this down so you can see it. Okay? So the next line has got to be on the top of this piece, or really how wide is this piece. And if I look at it, this piece is also 1.25 inches wide. So 1.25 inches is 5 boxes, quarter, half, quarter, whole, quarter. So here. So then I'm going to draw my line across this way. All right. But I have more stuff going on here, don't I? Looking at this piece. I have this cutout in the middle that I have to mark, and I have this cutout here that I have to mark. Well, I know that this is a quarter inch. So what I can do here is draw this line. Now remember, these are all construction lines. We're going to go back and darken these later to make them object lines. But look at this. This is great. This construction line here tells me where I need to start this cutout here, because I found it down here. So I know that it's a 1/4 inch. If you want to double check there, 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to draw very carefully that guy over. And that guy over. Now I have enough to darken this in. So I'm going to draw my object lines here. This is the outline of the basic shape. And I want to be careful not to darken the middle there, because there's nothing there. I always think ahead before you start randomly putting graphite on the paper. That will help you. Okay. Now you might think, do I draw this whole line? And the answer is yes, you do have to draw this whole line because there's a change between here and here. So we need to draw that on the paper. But we also need to draw these lines. You're not going to be able to tell from the top view of this drawing all the elevation changes or what they are, but you will know that there is something different between this, this, and this seen down from the top view. Okay, so now that we have the front view, the top view, of course we need the side view. Now the side view would be taking the piece and turning it like this. Alright, so let's put that to the side. And let's start, well, if we use 2 boxes here, we want to use 2 boxes here, so I'll make my mark, and I go up. Alright, I know it's 1 1/4 inches deep because it is here, so come over 4 or 5 for 1 1/4 inches. Come up here. Alright, that is pretty close to the basic outline of my shape. I do have a couple spots I need to clear up. We know that from over here there's that gap, and we can see the gap up here. Now we need to be able to see the gap over here. So what we'll do is we'll make the mark for that here and there. Nice light construction lines. And we also have this gap here we have to account for. The gap here, what we can see is hidden. We know it's there, but we don't know what it is from that picture. So we'll draw that right where it would appropriately go over here. Just like that. And before you know it, I have the outline of my piece. Let's go ahead and darken those object lines. Be careful. In this case, I will color all the way over darkly because there's a gap in the front, but there's also something in the middle here. Let me see if you can see this. Yeah, so it doesn't go all the way through, so I have to color that line. Same thing with the top here. But in this case, I'll only darken right here and the top. And just give these a little bit more shade. And there we have it. Okay. I didn't color the line here because if we look on this piece, this is all part of the same surface, and that surface is missing. So I wanted to show that on the paper versus down here, this is not all part of the same surface. So we had to draw the line there. Now let's go through our labels. This is multi-view cube. I think this one's cube 3. Okay, this would be our top view. This one would be our front view. And this one would be the side view. Okay. Now, you notice I didn't write any dimensions on this. So we want to measure and get a few dimensions here. So, this is 2.5. So I'm going to come down, and on the line right here, I'm going to write right in the middle 2.5 inches. This guy here is 1 3/4. That was our mistake last time. 1.75 inches. Okay, but we also have this measurement here, which is 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to write that a little bit higher, 1.25 inches. and we have, we could go either way here. We could show that this is a 1/4 inch or that this is 1.5 inches, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call this 1.5 inches. Okay. Now, to make this work, I need to draw extension lines. Now remember that your extension line does not touch the top here. You want to come off it a little bit. Draw the line here. Try to draw the exact same line on the other side. There. Now, I will draw a line from here to here, and then from here to here. Okay. So this is just my 2.5 inches, showing that 2.5 inches is from this edge to that edge. And I want to draw a very small arrow, nice, clean, and neat. So be really careful with your arrows. My class teachers told me that when they were in college, their professors would actually measure the angle of the arrow, and if it was off, they'd get in a lot of trouble. Well, you know what? I need another extension line right here, because that's what this 1.25 is showing, but it's not going to be as big. Go like this, go like this. Drawing my arrows. Drawing my arrows. Okay, I need to do the same thing over here. Now I'm going to turn my book here so it's a little bit easier for us to see what I'm doing here. Let's see what I can do to prop this up. Okay. So I know that my 1.75, so the first thing I said was to draw your extension lines. So I'll draw my extension line. Remember, the extension line does not touch. I'm going to bring that down. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to bring it down. And I need one more for this 1.5 inch. So I'm going to bring that one, but not all the way. Okay? And then I'll have to use the ruler this way just because of where the edge of the book is here in the binding. I will draw a line to the edge, draw a line from the edge, and do the same thing with this 1.5 inches here. And I probably even should have brought the 1.5 inches to the middle of my extension line. Draw some nice pretty arrows. Nice small pretty arrows. Best I can here. Everything we do, quality stamped all over it. It's worth doing it right. Your future employers will want to know that you can do things right. Let's bring this back around. And there we have it. I have all the measurements I need for the front side. Now, do we do all of these same measurements here and here? Well, no. The only measurements I need are the ones I need to build this thing. So, if I come over to the top here, and I look at the top, what measurements do I not have? I don't have this gap here. That's not listed down here. And I don't have the depth, and I don't have this gap here. But if I put measurements up here, I don't need them over here. Or I could put the measurements over here and not put them up here. Because of spacing and dealing with the binding here, I'm going to actually use this one. So what I'm going to do, same thing, I'm going to take some measurements. I got 1.25 inches, and that is a 1/4 inch. Okay? There's many ways to do this, but you want to do as minimal as possible and as clean as possible. And this guy up here is 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Let's do it this way. I know that this is 1.25 inches, so I'm going to write down here 1.25 inches, because you always want the biggest one on the bottom. I'm going to draw my extension line for that. There to there. First one. small arrows filled in. Okay, so that's 1.25 inches. And then, yeah, I'm sitting here trying to make up my mind how to do this better. Let me do the one on the top. This would be, what I'm going to do is from this edge to here is 1 inch. And you might be wondering, why would you do it that way? And really the answer is, as I said, you want it to be as minimal as possible. I can put tons and tons and tons of measurements on here, but I only need the ones that are going to help me. Now I got to erase this line here a little bit so you don't think it's my extension line is touching. So this one is 1 inch between here and here, and the reality is, well, you might want to see every measurement possible on here. I can figure out that if this is 1.25 inches and this is 1 inch, then that's a 1/4 inch gap there. This is a 1/4 inch. This one matches this one. That makes that a 1/4 inch, and then I can figure out the gap there just simply from these two measurements. Okay, and finally I need this one over here. And I want to show you how to do this, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, this is a different way of doing things that are so small you can't see them. 2 extension lines here. And I'm going to draw an arrow here. And then an arrow on this side. Okay, and then I will label this arrow. Now I'm going to use a leader line. Leader lines are best done at a 45-degree angle, so I'm going to do my get as close as I can here. You know what? Scrap the leader line. I'm just going to mark it to the side, and we'll call this 0.25 inches. Okay, and this is the way that designers would draw a small gap. So they could say, hey, the small gap between these two spots is 0.25 inches. And that is how you dimension or add your dimensions, measurements to a sketch. I want to once again tell what the scale was. This was a scale of 1 to 1. That's my work, so I want to sign it. It is October the 4th, best month of the year, 2019. Alright guys, and that's how you do a multi-view drawing of this guy. Alright, have a good day.